Okay, we are now recording. At any time, if you've got a question, you'll notice a Q&A button on the Zoom menu. So if you could put your questions in there. Okay, so I'm going to introduce our participants. We have Hugh Rundle from La Trobe University, who worked on the Citation Checker app. We also have 3 members of the winning Delete My Sets app, which I think is in the top 2 or top 3 of all cloud apps ever developed. So we have Patricia Farnan, Jesse Donaghy, and Andrew Press. And now, if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to let the team introduce themselves. Okay, so we might start with Hugh if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Hugh Rundle. I work with Rachel at La Trobe Uni, and I was in what turned out to be the smallest team in the hackathon, and we went well along the way to creating a citation checking cloud app. We didn't quite finish it, but that's okay. We learned lots along the way.
Okay, and Jesse, do you want to go?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jessie. I'm from Bond University. I work as a digital services librarian here. We have Alma, Primo, Leganto, and we've had Alma for about 6 years. So that's like I have a long history of experience with Alma, but this was a nice challenge because it brought focus to an area that maybe I hadn't quite looked at in a while. So that was really fun.
Hey, Andrew.
Hi, yeah, my name's Andrew Press. I'm the Manager Information Resources at Charles Sturt University, and I manage the acquisition, subscriptions and metadata teams here at CSU. So I'm Alma Primo certified, and I've been involved in a number of integration and process improvement projects within the library for the past 9 to 10 years. So I'm not a professional developer in any way, shape or form, but it's more of a self-taught hobby. So yeah, I thought this is a really great opportunity to get involved in some of that.
And moving on to Patricia.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Patricia Farnan from the University of Notre Dame, Australia. My title is Application Administrator, which is sort of technical person for Alma, Primo, etc. We're currently moving to Leganto as well. We're pretty new to Alma, so I already had done quite a bit with sets though. But when I joined this group for the hackathon, I was like, well, I don't really need that because I already was keeping my sets very tidy. So, but it was still a great experience. And I would say that my expertise was more the subject matter expert than the developer side of things.
Okay, thank you guys. So we had, as you can see, a very wide range of backgrounds, which was true for, I think, every team. Every team we tried when setting up the teams, we tried to make sure there was a mix of developers, people with subject matter expertise in Alma, people who had good experience in user experience and design, and people who were happy to test. Okay, so we might go on to the next question. What worked well? And feel free for any of you to chime in and let us know.
Oh.
No, okay. I think 2 things I think worked really, really well. One was that Ansreg pre-allocated both the topics and the teams, which was extremely helpful because it, at least in theory, meant that we had a good mix of subject matter experts and people with development experience in each team, so you didn't accidentally end up with a team that had lots of subject matter experts but no developers, and vice versa. And the other thing that worked really well was having a daily check-in with an ex libris expert who could sort of say, yes, you're on the right track with that, or oh my God, no, don't do it that way. You know, did you realize that there's an easy way to do it? And so I think both of those were really well planned, and for most teams worked quite well.
Yeah, I think speaking from the point of view of the team I was in, there was a really good balance of people with different strengths, and we were lucky enough to not have anybody drop out, get sick or anything like that along the way. So we probably had it easier than a few of the other teams who ended up with not many people and things like that. But yeah, we had a good mix of people with different strengths and people working on different aspects of the whole project along the way, and sort of different people jumping in at different points and saying, I'll start this, I'll start that. So yeah, I thought that was really good.
Thought I'd follow on with what Patricia said there. I think our group really did show a good level of enthusiasm as well. So I think that works well, as if everyone is really keen to get involved regardless of your skills or knowledge. So I found that a bonus being in our team. We were just wanting to help out where we could.
Did anyone want to add anything?
I was just going to say the collaboration and across the different institutions as well. I mean, we're all coming from different institutions, and just having that opportunity to, you know, talk to each other via, you know, we were using, was it Slack channels? So I think that worked really well, just having that mechanism to talk to each other. And obviously the what Hugh was saying with the daily catch-ups and things like that really helped, just to make sure that everyone was on the same page. As we only had, you know, a week to basically build an app, so it was kind of crucial that we're all sort of working in the same direction.
Okay, thank you for that. That was, I think, showed some of the benefits of anyone working in a hackathon. All right, on to our next question, which is, what was it like to work across different institutions?
I think it was fun and easy to do in our instance. I don't think I've met anyone from my group in person before. And so, yeah, having never met people or known them previous to the hackathon, I think we jumped right in together and worked as a team really well without, I guess, any too formal structure on who was taking the lead in different areas. Yeah, and we did certainly have a good range of knowledge and experience and skills with Alma, but that might have been down to the careful planning of the ANSREG committee who split up the groups. But it was definitely evident that, yeah, we had a good range of experience and skills with Alma.
Yeah, I think I had seen a few people on various mailing lists. That's as far as I knew some of the people in my team before the hackathon. So yeah, that was good to get to know people in a different way, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that was the key to the success of the hackathon, to be honest. If we had tried to do this either with random groups of people who knew each other or as institutions, it wouldn't have really worked. So I think it was really good anyway to you know, meet new people. And I'm pretty new to the ex libris world, so it was it was a good way to meet other people. But also it just allowed that mix of people with different skills and backgrounds. And even if you've got subject matter expertise in the same part of Alma, you may be using it in a different way to another institution. So even just having kind of a different perspective on it is quite useful, I think.
Yeah. And that brings me to the sort of a similar question about how you found working with people with different skill sets, especially those of you who perhaps never worked with developers before or who didn't have much experience with Alma.
I think in my case, I'm not entirely sure what the developers did because, I mean, we saw little snippets of what they were doing while we were in our meetings, doing things live and things like that. And like I have done some coding and things in the past and CSS and things like that. So some of it looked familiar, but yeah, I'm not sure what they did during the hours that they spent on it when the rest of us weren't watching them do that. So, but they came back with a product that we could view, which was exciting. So, and that happened pretty quickly as well. And that did make me sort of want to get more experience myself with that side of it in future as well.
Was there anything else? Oh, yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, and I was just saying our team was a bit funny because we ended up with only 3 people in a team, which I think originally was supposed to have 5 for various reasons. So, we had the range of skills that was needed, but it was interesting when everybody kind of did their showcase at the end. It was pretty clear that just having 1 or 2 extra people with a slightly different skill set would have been really helpful. Even just having an extra pair of eyes to kind of do testing and so on. So we sort of had 1.5 developers, I guess, and I'm the half. And I mean, to be honest, I spent most of my time trying to understand the cloud app kind of build chain and how it all went together, just to create sort of something basic rather than actually building our app. So it was very useful learning experience. But it would have been very interesting, I think, to have a couple of extra people with just slightly different skills. But again, I mean, it goes back. I think Answer did a really good job generally of getting that right mix of skills. It's quite interesting to kind of see how different people from totally different backgrounds think about the same problem.
Yeah, I also had technical difficulties with actually even installing like the local environment, developers environment. So I spent the first day or 2 actually trying to get in there. And by that time, our app was already created in a rough form by other people. So I was like, I'll just go with what you've got there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. For sure. I was kind of futzing around for a couple of days, and then Daniel Henderson from UTS kind of said, "Oh yeah, well, I just whipped this off in 20 minutes or however long it had taken him." Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that as well. It took a bit of work to get that, I guess, development environment up and running, so that we could, download the code and actually do some testing and things like that. But yeah, I mean, full credit to the guys that actually built the app. They did a great job in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, we were hoping to have a developer also give their experience, but none were available. But it's, well, Hugh, I always think is a developer. But it's good that you guys were able to reflect on that. I think that was really helpful. And it is good to hear some of the difficulties you had with the Cloud App platform. I think that's pretty important for anyone who's planning on running a similar session in the future. Because the last thing you want is for people to spend the first 2 days not knowing what they're doing and getting frustrated and trying to install something. So hopefully the Cloud App platform developers will be watching this, and that's some good feedback they can have. Okay, and I think that brings us on to our next question, which is what we should do differently next time.
I guess the only thing I thought of was just hopefully there'll be more people involved next time, and then so that if people get sick and drop out, then it'll be easier to cover that and yeah, give each team a better chance of success. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't know how practical this is, but it might be useful if there was like a reserve pool of people who are willing to be involved, but aren't actually allocated to a team initially, because, you know, life happens to people, and especially at the moment, you never know when someone's going to suddenly become unavailable. But that would allow, at least in theory, people to kind of be slotted in. And I suppose the other thing I was thinking was, I mean, I was amazed that we ended up with multiple basically finished apps. But I feel like something like this, it's important for everybody to be comfortable with the idea that that's actually not really the point of it in a way. Like it's almost like it's an extra bonus if you actually end up with a functional app in the Cloud App Store, and it's really about people kind of learning how it's done and what the process is. So I mean, it's not that Ansridge didn't do this, but I suppose it's important, I think, if people are running, you know, Ansridge equivalents or Ansridge itself running this in future, for people not to be intimidated into thinking, oh, you know, I won't be able to contribute to finishing a full app or whatever, because yeah, you want as many people as possible to kind of have the experience.
Yeah, for me, it's that managing expectations as well. So, I mean, it was a bit hard for this one because it was the first and no one really knew what kind of requirements were on everyone. But yeah, just like you said, outlining that, you know, whilst having a finished app would be great, you know, it's all about the journey more than the destination, and just how much time and effort goes into creating these apps. Yeah, like what we were saying before about, you know, trying to get the development environment up and running. You know, that took a couple of days, well, for me at least. And then, you know, going through all the testing and making all those tweaks down the as you go. So yeah, it would have been great to have that sort of outlined from the get-go. And possibly even, you know, if we've got an idea of what apps we're going to be looking into, you know, having a bit of a background before you actually get started, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, I can definitely say from the organizing side, it was hard to know what apps were reasonably feasible, what would be easy to achieve and what wouldn't. Xlibris were very helpful, and they did sort of give us a bit of a guide, but you still, until you actually run it, you don't know what it's going to be like. But definitely in the future, I think we'll be able to give more structure, more expectations. And yeah, we probably should have, or we probably would in the future, be more, it is about learning how to use the APIs. It is about using what can be done with developing platforms and what can be achieved using the Cloud App platform, and just how Alma integrates with different systems. I think just that is a bonus in itself. So yeah, definitely I don't think we actually had the expectation everyone would develop a working cloud app. We really weren't sure what to expect, and we were really amazed at what everyone came up with. Even if they didn't publish a cloud app, it was still, I think everyone got a lot out of it, and the community really benefited.
One thing I wanted to say is that this time around, everyone was kind of on a level playing field in a way, because we were all new to it. We'd never done it before in this sort of situation. So it'll be interesting for the next time that you do it. You're going to have people that maybe had been in the previous hackathon, and then people that are new. And how do you balance those participants as well? Is there an advantage to everybody in your team being new? Maybe. So it'll be interesting for next time.
I know another thing we talked about as well was what we didn't really have an idea of, we hadn't thought about what would happen if we did finish an app and then what happens after that. So the sort of upgrades to the app in the future and things, and are we expected to do that forever? Or I don't know, does someone else take that over? Or yeah, so that's an interesting question.
Yeah, actually, on that, I think that was something that hadn't, certainly no criticism of Answer Edge, because this didn't occur to me until afterwards. but exactly that point. It's like, to release something in the Cloud App Store, you've got to put it into GitHub, and then there's sort of this that almost unwritten expectation that it's like, okay, well, you're responsible for this now. It's free like kittens. And there's also some sort of not that interesting stuff, but probably important around licensing and IP. And we know all of our institutions are, get very excited about that sort of thing. So that might be a discussion for Answer Edge to have in future about. I suppose this has just popped into my head, so it could be a terrible idea. But does Answer Edge actually release cloud apps as Answer Edge, and then the responsibility for maintaining it can actually be passed on, through the generations of various people involved in Answer Edge. Maybe something for a discussion in future.
Okay, before we open up the questions to the audience, is there anything else you wanted to share? Okay, we might now move to audience questions. We haven't got any yet, so if people want to put in questions in the Q&A, any question you have for the panelists. If we don't get many, we'll probably finish early. Trouble is, you guys have sort of answered everything already.
I guess I have one question.
Yep.
But more to probably the ex libris developers of the cloud apps, and I guess that's what they anticipate the direction of the cloud apps. So do they anticipate that the community is going to be responsible for maintaining those cloud apps themselves, or is that something that they're going to be looking at integrating that kind of functionality into the system down the track? So like, delete your sets. I mean, it just gives you the opportunity to delete sets in bulk. So, is that something that they're going to be looking at introducing into the system itself rather than as a cloud app? Or, I guess it's not really clear to me as to, whether what the expectations are on, say, anyone that does develop a cloud app. Like you were saying, is there that unwritten expectation that they themselves will maintain it going forward with all the new iterations of Alma, or are they going to be looking at integrating those functionalities into the system itself as part of the development cycle? I understand I'm probably not going to get an answer now, but yeah.
Yes, unfortunately, because of this time, I don't think we actually have anyone from Ex Libris attending. However, what I can do is take these questions back to Ex Libris, the cloud team, and ask them, because I think these are really interesting questions. And I'm sure they do have some good perspective on this, and we will share it via the ANZREG list, if that's okay.
That'd be great. If you're talking to Ex Libris, this is not really a question, it's really just a statement. I mean, it's Andrew brought this up as well. The build tools for the cloud apps. When I first installed it, I got 2 pages of error messages from NPM telling me that everything was out of date. And I'm sure that there'll be some technical reason why it's not really a problem, but it's very disconcerting to kind of have that experience. So if they're keen for people to be building cloud apps, I think it is incumbent upon Ex Libris to kind of make sure that the tools we use to build them are kind of up to date and feel safe to use, I guess.
Okay, we're not getting anyone. I think there's no questions. I'll just give a few more minutes for people to ask questions. And I would love to thank all our attendees and panelists for attending today. I know we're all in a very busy time. Okay, I've got a question. Yeah, okay. So Stacey, who is the chair of ANZREG, has agreed with you, Hugh, about some of the technical issues you and Andrew raised. Yeah, and I would like to thank all our panelists, because not only did you participate in the cloud apps, you also agreed to be part of this session, and I think that's really helpful. I don't know what's happening in the global Ex Libris community, but I know the success of ANZREG was noted, and our hackathon has been noted in a few press releases, and there's been a bit of discussion about how pleased Ex Libris were with our hackathon. So it may be that some of the international community run a similar event in the future, which I think would be great. But there's already, actually, I had a look last week and there was over 30 cloud apps, and they are increasing all the time. And I think that's a really positive thing, because it does extend the functionality in Alma. Okay, it looks like we don't have any other questions. So any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
I would just say that it was a great experience, and I recommend it to others next time. So
yeah, I totally agree. Well done, ANZREG committee.
Yeah,
I agree.
I have to say big thanks to Peter Hopkins, who is actually on long service leave, but she went above and beyond in getting this set up. It was just incredible, the amount of work Peter from Bond put in. And so, Peter, when you watch this, thank you very much for your very successful hackathon. She was the one who had the genesis of the idea, and she just went with it. Amazing work. All right, I might give you 20 minutes back in your day. Thank you all for attending. The recording will be sent out and will be available to anyone who registered. And look out on our mailing list for future events and future information. Thank you all again. Bye.